Canadians, Americans, members of the Commonwealth, and patriots the world over. Welcome to the show that tells you what they won't, exposing the fake news, conspiracies, and corruption within institutions that govern our lives, and red-pilling the nations one fact at a time. It's Weathering the Storm with your host, Canada's Red Pill, Billy Joyce.
Hey folks, welcome to another show. As you can tell, it's a beautiful sunny morning here in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Unfortunately, I was only told at the very last minute that there was actually a protest going on today in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So if anyone is watching this and you're actually in Halifax, Nova Scotia today, could you please do me a favor and send me any and all footage, any and all speeches to wtjoyce@hotmail.com, or send me links to live feeds, please. Again, urgent. If you're attending a protest in Halifax today, I found out about this yesterday. I thought they were organizing for the 12th or the 13th. But I am willing to compile any footage that is captured in Halifax today and air it on all my channels. You're wondering why I'm wearing shade. Well, shades, number one, bright sunny day. Number two, not much sleep. Number three, this video is dedicated to all the shady characters that have been on our television sets for the last 2 years. I'm going to be very careful with my words because it seems that there are also shady characters in our communities that claim they think we're crazy and don't listen to us, but apparently they're listening. And apparently they're looking for any little thing that they could pick on to get us into trouble, because it appears we're kind of lurking over. I can't even say what we're lurking over because that might sound, they'll take that out of context as well. So the shades for the shady characters on TV, the shady characters in our government buildings, the shady characters in our communities. Yesterday was something phenomenal in Canada. I'll tell you what, if you're paying attention to hockey or the NHL or the All-Star game, listen, we may not have hockey in this country if we don't turn things around. And right now, the truckers in Ottawa are turning things around with love! Contrary to popular belief, contrary to what's being told to us on the mainstream media, the truckers, their supporters, their families, the truckers also have lawyers working with them. The truckers have doctors working with them. So whenever you see me refer to their doctors, their lawyers, or if I say the truckers, the doctors, the lawyers, I'm referring to the truckers, the doctors, the lawyers that are there with them, and the banking professionals, and the accountants, and the former police officers, and the former military, and the people working in their control room, and their command centers, and surveillance, and logistics, and feeding food to people. What we're learning right now is that a group of blue-collar truckers, in combination with really angry healthcare workers who've been sent home for no other reason than they wouldn't take an experimental jab, or I call it medical RAPE, were sent home on unpaid leave, not allowed to earn a living, not allowed to feed their families, not allowed to draw the employment insurance that they've paid into, some of them for 20 years, put on unpaid leave, lost their benefits, lost their pensions, and then you turn on the news, and this freedom convoy is going on in Ottawa that they've warned us for weeks was going to be like Canada's equivalent of January 6th, and the whole world's coming to an end because, oh my goodness, these white supremacist truckers are coming from all over Canada. The deplorables, the fringe minority. That's what we were told. And then it happens. And we find out that patriotic, and for the most part, God-fearing Christian, or at least Canadians that believe in a creator. Like I've seen Muslims, natives, Sikhs, Catholics, Protestants, white people, black people, brown people, Asian people, and I'm not doing this to label. It's because we've been fed the labels. We've been fed the labels all our lives, and what we're seeing on Parliament Hill is the tearing down of the labels, the tearing down of division, the tearing down of hate, the tearing down of fear. Before I go any further, and before the mainstream news starts reporting on it, because they haven't yet, and people should be, no one's thought of this, no one's commented on it. I'm going to feature footage in this video of Viva Frey, Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson, Pat King, a Facebook group by the name of Ottawa Walks. I'm going to be showing you footage from people that actually went down to Ottawa, live streamed for hours. It was like being there with them. And we could see for ourselves what was happening in our nation's capital without media interference, without these pundits on TV giving their opinion because they wine and dine with the local politician at Chateau Laurier, not Pfizer on TV telling us this, that, or the other thing. Regular people looking for the truth. And the one thing, okay, so we've heard as well that, okay, the narrative is the lockdowns are necessary, the forced vaccines are necessary, everything's necessary because, and the unvaxxed have to stay home and they can't be at work because the unvaxxed are the most dangerous thing to anyone in all this. This is a pandemic of the unvaxxed. This is the narrative that we're being fed, right? And of course, we're being fed that it's selfish, unvaxxed people in Ottawa. And we've heard the it's too noisy, stop with the horns. We've heard that. We've heard you're inconveniencing our lives for 5 days. We've heard that. You know what we haven't heard? We haven't heard of truckers and their supporters dropping dead or ending up in emergency rooms of COVID-19. Have we? A freaking love fest. A friggin' love fest on Capitol Hill. Perfect strangers meeting in the streets, and it's high fives and hugs and kisses and hugs and more kisses. And they're looking at each other and they're breathing because it's minus 30. and they're breathing, and you can see the Omicron carrier, the Omicron mist. You can almost see it. It's just like part of the permanent air on Parliament Hill. They've been there for 8 days. I'm unvaxxed. I was in Enfield with 1,000 people. I was in Truro with 300 or 400 people. I was in Amherst with 300 or 400 people. There have been outbreaks. Or maybe I'm not allowed to say it because apparently we're not allowed to share medical information unless it's to send someone home so they can't feed their families and be called every name in the book by our political leaders. But there have been outbreaks in workplaces here. There have been outbreaks in schools here. And the only people I know that have gotten sick are double poked or boosted. Everyone that I know that's unvaxxed, well, either they've gotten it and they were asymptomatic and they're not getting it anywhere they go, even from people that are in close contact with that tested positive, or some of the doctors were telling the truth and our doctors have been lying to us. Okay, so all that to say, I started my day off on Saturday watching Viva Frey. And Viva Frey, of course, all the links to the videos that I'm going to feature and then some are in the description of this video. So Viva Frey comes down. Last week he came down by himself. This week he decided to take his wife and kids. And in pure, I've never seen anything so Canadian. The guy comes down with his wife and kids, and of course, when you're a dad and you're trying to be a journalist and covering something like the most historic event in Canadian history, well, sometimes that doesn't work out. So if you go watch his full stream, you're going to get some. As a dad, I chuckled with him, and man, I appreciate what Viva Frey or Viva, and I'm sorry if I pronounce the name wrong. It's either Viva Frey or Viva Fry or Viva Frey. Regardless, I think all of Canada's going to know this guy. He's appeared on RT now. He's appeared on American media, but you know friggin' well that he's probably never going to appear on CBC or CTV or Global. Mind you, I got some compliments from some of those people later, surprisingly enough. So here's Viva Frei explaining how, when he got to Ottawa, his hotel had been shoo-shooed, and he had to go stay on the other side of the border in Quebec. Apparently he wasn't the only one. It appears Expedia may have been involved.
Not only are we live, people, we're crossing state lines. I'm actually not even joking. So the hotel was canceled last night in downtown Ottawa. All Expedia reservations were canceled. You might just want to continue walking. All Expedia reservations were canceled. Let me know if the audio's bad. So we had to book a hotel in Quebec, and we are literally crossing state lines, provincial lines from Quebec to Ontario on the bridge between Gatineau and Ottawa that has been closed. Yep. Okay. It's been closed. I understand why it has been closed. I would imagine you wouldn't want traffic parked on a bridge. You wouldn't want the bottlenecking and the disruption of traffic. But come think of it, yeah, this is a road. This is a road bridge. This is the bridge, people. We are crossing state lines with the camera. From Quebec to Ontario. That's Parliament right behind us, in front of us. And this is the mass of people that are walking over the bridge from Quebec. I think it's normally a one. Oh, no, two-way. It's got to be a two-way with the thing. This is the exodus of people that are walking over the bridge at 11:30 in the morning.
So there's another rumor going around that it's actually the government that convinced Expedia to get rid of all these hotels downtown. They bought up a bunch of hotel rooms downtown to make sure that the supporters that were coming in would have a harder time accessing the downtown area. The other thing we were hearing on the mainstream media was, it's only going to be a few more thousand people compared to what's been there all week. And as far as they know, there are no more new vehicles coming in. So I went to look at my real sources for news, and I went to look at Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson's page this morning, and lo and behold, I found Laura Lynn strolling through the outer streets of Ottawa, discovering that pretty much a whole block of industrial-sized tractors had arrived to support the fringe minority.
This is what's just arrived in Ottawa. Thank you, Lord. Farmers grow it, truckers move it. Media. Oh, all right. Freedom over fear. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, isn't this a beautiful sight? Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Is that what I just said, you guys? We don't want to be here. I'd like to be at home with my husband. It's not vax versus unvax. It's control versus freedom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's a cold one today, you guys. Oh, man.
And then while Laura Lynn was exposing the half-truth on no more vehicles coming, Viva was looking for something to drink for his kids. They were hungry. They were thirsty. He found a tent that had hot chocolate. And he also found that this tent, the perfect narrative destroyer for all the people out there screaming racism. And for those of you who've called me racist or Islamophobic in the past, I've been very vocal about that. I've been very clear as well that there are many Muslims who moved to Canada that I am perfectly comfortable being friends with. As a matter of fact, I've got a friend of mine in Ottawa. I consider him a good friend. Like, if I went to Ottawa, I'd look him up. We'd go out for a beer. I don't drink much. We may smoke a joint. Viva Frei comes across this Muslim man He identifies as a Muslim from Pakistan, and he's actually wearing the colors of his country, and he's a Convoy supporter.
Chocolate and coffee.
Yes, and I want to share that. I hear people on mainstream media saying there's a lot of racism and Islamophobia here. I'm a Muslim Canadian, and I came here with the Palestinian scarf proudly worn, and I've seen nothing but love and respect and gratitude from everyone here in Ottawa. Everything that you're hearing on mainstream media and from the Trudeau government are a bunch of lies. There's no racism here. Everyone's beautiful. Families are having fun. They're dancing.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other.
And I'm here to tell, like Trudeau, that myself and tens of thousands of Muslim Canadians do not agree with your mandate. You're dividing our communities, you're dividing our country, and you're killing our economy. And it's been 2 years of this shit, and we've had enough. Canada is about inclusivity and choice, and we've had none of those for the past 2 years. So we want our freedom of choice back. We want our kids to consistently go to school and thrive in education and social development. We want our fired healthcare workers to get back to their jobs. We want everybody in this country to be able to travel. And we want, it's time. It's time for Canada to move on. We are ready.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for the hot chocolate.
May I get a hot? Don't spill the hot chocolate. Give me a hot. Have a good day. I hope everyone heard that loud and clear. Let me see from the chat. Did you guys hear that loud and clear?
So Justin Trudeau's got a little problem with his labeling of the convoy as a bunch of white supremacists, wouldn't you think? And because Justin Trudeau has labeled the convoy as white supremacists, I want you to remember that, white supremacists. This convoy has been labeled a bunch of white supremacists. And later on, when we're going to see the peaceful majority, the tolerant majority, encouraging us all to just get the jab or shut up, you make your choice, when we go see what they were doing, remember the word white supremacist. Because what Justin Trudeau has said, and the people that Justin Trudeau has painted as white supremacists, well, the people protesting, whose city, our city, whose city, our city,
Hi, kids!
they're not looking so kindly on the white supremacists. We'll get to that in a minute. I mean, the Prime Minister even said in French once that he pondered if the 10 to 15% of Canadians, which is 6 or 7 million, if we deserve to be tolerated. Apparently we don't deserve to work, we don't deserve to feed our kids, and the people on the Hill are evil monsters. But it seems like Pat King is catching footage that no one's really psyched to show the Canadian people, because I'm pretty sure most of the Canadian people watching the footage that's playing before your eyes right now would agree that they would embrace that. They would love that. I'm pretty sure the kids would love that as normal in our communities again. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Who's winning the game over here? Can I try that?
Pat King, because you remember the other day in that video when Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson asked a prominent doctor who's on the board of directors of the organizers of this convoy, when the second she asked him about adverse effects of the vax, CBC, CTV shut down their cameras, started picking up their gear, and were called out on it. And of course CBC's not in the crowd actually interviewing people. They set up from a distance behind a railing to kind of show a few flags going by and downplay it as a couple thousand people. They outnumber the police, but they never really go into detail as to how many freaking people were in Ottawa on Saturday, February 5th, which a lot of people thought January 29th might be our New Canada Day, but February 5th might very well be. And if the 12th tops the 5th, well, we might just keep moving Canada Day until the actual day that Justin Trudeau comes out of hiding. Because Pat King talked to this woman at the Freedom Rally, another supporter, and this woman actually received 3 doses of Justin Trudeau and Tim Houston and Jason Kenney's recommended potion for the magic that doesn't seem to affect tens of thousands of truckers on Parliament Hill, even though they've been there for 8 days, hugging and a kissing and a loving in all kinds of different ways. So Pat King, does an interview with this poor lady, and I ask everyone to pray for her to make sure that nothing long term happens.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm here with the real Pat King.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, well here, this is what happened. I went to get my booster, my 3rd shot.
Yeah.
Because of all my health conditions, they told me it really wasn't my booster. It was actually the 3rd shot for the 1st series, because the next one will be considered my booster, number 4.
Yeah.
I had a rash so bad down my injection arm, my
Sorry to
whole
hear about
torso. Okay? No more, man. No more.
No more.
No
There
more.
it is.
I followed the masses. I did what I was told. Don't do it.
Yes.
Keep your kids away from that crap.
Awesome. Thank you, dear. I'm glad you're still okay.
So back to Viva Frey.
I'm pretty agile.
He climbs up onto the roof of an 18-wheeler. Again, CBC, CTV, Global, they were all down there. Some of them did a quasi good job of presenting the facts today. I was actually impressed. I'll get to that later. But I can guarantee you that they're not showing you the footage that Viva Frey got from the top of a truck that was in the convoy. Now, this next clip that I'm going to share with you, I think it's 10 or 11 minutes long. It's actually a speech by Chris Sky. And Chris Sky is a pretty controversial fella. I've had my doubts at times, and I've also cheered him on at times. But I'll tell you what, the speech that he delivered today in Ottawa, I can understand why the media didn't want to show that to the people. I can understand why the politicians wanted to ignore it. I can understand why the media didn't want to show what I believe to be at least 1 million people in Ottawa today. But as you watch this 9-minute footage of Viva Frey on top of a transport trailer, and you consider that we pay the CBC $1.6 billion a year to supposedly bring us the truth, and they hang out on a street corner behind a gate all day when footage like this is being shown. And again, you can fast forward through the footage if you like, or turn your volume up, put earphones on or something. Brace yourself for very, very loud horns, because again, this is one guy with his phone, so he can't have a mic set up with a wire on stage hooked up to his camera like the CBC could. That would be too convenient, and the CBC just wants to ignore this stuff. So this guy here did the best that he could for Canadians because he loves his country, just like most of the people that are there supporting this convoy. So you can watch the 9-minute clip.
In my power, and so have many others, to try to achieve what people thought could not happen. The people coming together, despite of all the ways they try to divide us, despite of all the lies and propaganda, we stand united. We stand strong. And Canada,
I just realized that's
now
Chris
the
Sky on
beacon
stage,
of light
right?
and hope and freedom for the entire world.
She just dropped her phone down there.
That the docile, the friendly, the nice Canadians will be the ones to stick their feet into the sand and say enough is enough. It's time to take our country back. They're going to be the first of many. The domino that started to fall, the tidal wave is coming in, ladies and gentlemen. And it's coming here in Canada. What do we see already? Besides the fact that our fearless leader is nowhere to be seen hiding in a hole, making threats that he can't cash in on. What do we see? Scott Moe in Saskatchewan, backing down against the mandates. Jason Kenney in Alberta, backing down against the mandates. And why? They're going to say it's because they got Omicron under control. No, it's because we got them under control. They would keep their foot on your throat as long as you would allow. If we stood idle by, we would be like Quebec, where you gotta go into a jail cell to go to a Walmart. I think that, yeah, laugh it off, but that's still part of Canada. That's still our brothers and sisters. We need to get them on our page. We need to bring them into this fold. We need to get them their freedom back. We need to get freedom back for everybody. Not just here, but around the world. We are reaching the end of phase 2 of United Non-Compliance, taking action. And it's going to end with us taking our freedoms back. But we cannot stop there. We got to keep the pressure on, moving into phase 3 of United Non-Compliance. My personal favorite, holding them accountable. Politicians think they're just gonna flip-flop and change sides because they've read the writing on the wall and all of a sudden be hailed as heroes. They got another thing coming.
Can everybody hear what he's saying in the chat? Let me know. If you can't,
they're just gonna fade
nothing I
off
can do
into
about it.
obscurity, so they can pull this shenanigans on us whenever they feel like it. They got another thing coming. We are in a position where we can not just get our freedoms back, we can reshape our country in a way that makes it better than it ever was, better than any country in the history of the planet. We have the largest landmass, the most resources, the most diverse population. There is no reason why without the right governance, we cannot have a golden era of Canada where people have so much more than they ever thought possible. Oh, how we react now. They're going to try to do everything. You've seen what they're trying to do in the media. This is a racist movement. It's anti-Semitic. It's anti-black. It's anti-homophobic. It's homophobic. It's transphobic. Are you serious? Can you even walk around more than 5 steps without someone smiling at you or shaking your head or giving you a high five? The police, God bless their souls. God bless you all. I know you're not doing what you want to do, but they admitted that we had over 2.5 million people in Ottawa. And there was so much love and so much togetherness. I don't even think somebody fell and scraped their knee, let alone had cried or anything. And this is what the dirty tricks the city's been pulling, with trying not to let us get rid of garbage, trying not to let us pump up porta potties, trying to prevent emergency vehicles from where they gotta go. Why? So they can try to make this look bad. So they can try to make this very last breath to fighting for freedom. And if you are with me, if you feel the same way, let's scream out,
Now I'm going to get to what the mainstream media was presenting that morning, and or not that morning, it was throughout the day. And I mean, you're going to see what I did is I was sitting at home watching YouTube. I had CBC on the television, trying to keep up with everything. Whenever I'd hear something stupid on TV, I'd pause whatever I was doing on YouTube, rewind the television, screenshot, then download from the phone. Like I said, I think I've slept 2 hours since Thursday night, something like that anyway, running on pure adrenaline, pure pride. So CBC, when they had to report on, you know, the fringe minority, the racists and the bigots, well, apparently the biggest thing is a lawsuit being filed against the Freedom Convoy. You want to hear for what? Honking. I guess some 21-year-old public servant. You know what a 21-year-old public servant is? That's someone that just graduated from university, that's probably working in Ottawa, probably making $75,000 a year, probably has part of his living expenses paid for, probably doesn't have a wife and children, probably, I could go on, right? Do you think that guy understands the plight of a mother and father who were both put off work because they didn't want to take an experimental jab, and for the last 2 months they've been trying to figure out how to put food on the table? Or how to pay the electric bill? Or how to pay the oil bill? I can't sleep.
The honking and fireworks at night are the biggest complaint of all, and that's what this class action lawsuit is about, brought by an Ottawa lawyer, Paul Chev, and has a young 21-year-old federal public servant as the plaintiff named in the statement of claim, but anybody who lives within a pretty large area of the downtown core would qualify potentially in this class action lawsuit if it were to go through. The main complaint in the lawsuit is the honking that the statement of claim says is up to 120 decibels and continues into the night. They say it's caused stress and fatigue and lack of sleep to Ottawa citizens. They're seeking close to $10 million in damages and punitive damages.
That's CBC's Evan reporting from the protests in Ottawa.
Again, I said that this show is dedicated to the shady media, the shady politicians, the shady characters all around us, the shady leaders, the shady people that speak out of one side of the mouth, speak out of this side of the mouth, sometimes speak out of this side of the mouth, sometimes speak out of that side of the mouth. The kind of people that are making Canadian babies pretty pissed off right now. Like really pretty pissed off. I'd say Canadian babies and Canadian infants are pretty fed up with what the CBC is doing and what our politicians are doing in this country. So here's a little montage.
And in Ottawa, again, the Police Services Board is holding a special meeting about those ongoing protests. Now, during the meeting, Ottawa was described as, quote, a city under siege, and the protests were characterized as, quote, a nationwide insurrection. Have a listen to the police chief, Peter Slowly, responding to those comments.
A police service under the Police Service Act was never created. The legislation supporting the Police Service Act was never contemplated. The oath of office that I and my officers swore were never intended to deal with a city under siege, a threat to our democracy, a nationwide insurrection driven by madness. There is no concrete plan for such a scenario as you described.
That was Peter Slowly, Ottawa's police chief. And keep in mind that Ottawa police have been heavily criticized for their handling of the protests that have gripped the downtown core. Well, the protests are also having an effect on, of course, Ottawa businesses. Christine Liebman is with the Bank Street Business Improvement Area.
Oh, is this the one?
Residents living in Ottawa's downtown core. She explained why many decided to shut down their stores during protests.
They just
Yes, it
decide that
is.
it's not worth
Listen to this one.
to put their staff at risk or their other employees at risk and other clients when these people choose to conduct themselves inappropriately and violently sometimes because they don't wish to wear masks. They get upset when the staff are wearing masks and following the protocols. I mean, just when, this back and forth with, lockdowns and then lockdowns and openings, whereas this was, a short lockdown and the opportunity was coming up and then they're hit with something else. It's just that they keep knocking them down. And as much as this Freedom Convoy, or like they refer to themselves as the Freedom Convoy, they had their freedom. They were free to choose, whether they took a vaccine or not. Everyone has choices, and when you make choices, you have to suffer the consequences or the outcomes.
What follows is a brief construction montage.
There is no place in our country for threats, violence, or hatred. To anyone who joined the convoy but is rightly uncomfortable with the symbols of hatred and division on display, join with your fellow Canadians. Be courageous and speak out. Do not stand for or with intolerance and hate. To the politicians exploiting people's fears, I ask you to think long and hard about the consequences of your actions. To the nearly 90% of truckers across the country who've gotten vaccinated, who continue working hard to keep us fed and keep our economy moving, thank you.
So the RCMP have been playing games with negotiations inside today. I guess they've been making commitments and threats and intimidation, and to the point that some of the organizers have unfortunately had to leave. This situation just got immensely stressful in the past 15 minutes. So here's what's happening. Now people are showing up all of a sudden again. The crowd had been getting thin, but they're showing up again, and they're crossing up the highway now. So the police blockade, it's now blocked in all the way across. Tractors, trucks, trailers, people, all the way across here. Everybody needs to hear this right now. These people are standing up for you. So if you're at home right now, comfortable on your couch, get a good look. Get a good look at this, because we're being threatened, we're being intimidated by the RCMP right now. These people are standing the line.
Truckers have tough jobs. Long hours on the road. Days away from their families.
We've got the police blocked in now. All the way across. There's two separate lines. Every single person here would rather be home with their families tonight. It's minus 27 out here, plus the wind chill, so it's hardly enjoyable. So our families are somewhere else. And people like these people here are standing up.
Real challenges, particularly over the past 2 years, as they've continued to step up to put food on our shelves and on our tables, to support us with life-saving medication and supplies.
This is insanity.
We hope you enjoyed this brief construction montage.
And then, of course, I'm sitting at home, and because there's a convoy, and it seems that conveniently, and if you listen to Chris Sky's speech earlier, he referred to this. He said, watch, he says, the government is going to try to weasel their way out of it. They're going to roll out their health officials and tell us, oh, it's okay, it's time to go back, it's time to go to normal now. But it's not influenced by the convoy, it's influenced by the science. The problem is that too many people are watching now. I actually comment in this video. I turn it around, and again, I'm sitting in my chair in the living room, and it's not very good footage, but pay close attention to the next minute or so.
In fact, even the country's top doctor, Dr. Theresa Tam, has said that perhaps it's time for the country to start thinking about normalizing life again. Maybe it's time to start living with the pandemic and making it endemic instead.
And making it endemic instead. And making it endemic instead. Wrap your head around that. Making it endemic. Is it trust the science or making it whatever the hell they want? And they wonder why we're pissed? That the most violent thing that happened was 4 convoy supporters being run over by an SUV at a protest, and I believe it's in Manitoba, I believe it's in Winnipeg, and listen to the CBC and listen to the police chief. Do you remember I was telling you police chiefs are crooked and they'll do whatever they can to toe the political line? And the police chief tries to play it off like, oh no, this person wasn't on either side of the political spectrum here.
Show you to that. We can show you that video now, but we do have to warn you. It is disturbing. It could be upsetting to some people. Now, the video shows a white SUV seemingly swerving into a crowd of people here. 4 people were hit. 3 of them examined by paramedics on scene. A 4th person was taken to hospital and later released. We did hear from Constable Rob Carver of the Winnipeg Police on this just a little earlier today. At this point, police say the man's actions appear to be intentional. They say this man was not a part of this protest, but police aren't yet saying a lot about what his motivation may have been. Here is a bit of what he had to say.
I think it's important here to give some context that he wasn't really for or against either of the general views that are sort of floating around this country.
Okay. And if you buy that, I'll throw the Golden Gate in free. That's probably a copyright strike. Then Global News actually shocked me today and showed me and others some of the truth. They actually showed people that were expressing the legitimate reasons for this entire convoy and the explosion of support that we're getting worldwide. Global News. I was shocked. I have to apologize. It sucks.
Country here. We don't need somebody like Trudeau out there telling you you have to take it or else, and calling us names, putting us down, calling us racist. I am by no means a racist. I am not a misogynist. I am none of the above. Okay, I'm a hard worker. I have a house and a mortgage to pay. We're in this we're a free country here. You can't have people, Trudeau or whatever, telling you that you have to take this or else, right? That's not freedom, okay? Please, that's not freedom, okay? We're a free country here. Pardon me?
What do you want to accomplish by being here today?
I would like to end the mandates. I would like to end the mandates. You know, if you want to take a vaccine or whatever you want to call it, go ahead. But you can't force me to, okay? I don't think that's right. That's not freedom.
For the little guys. So I look at this as, what do my kids and my grandkids are going to have to do? If they don't have, are they going to have the right to choose medical freedom? Are they going to have the debt issues that we've had and the economic issues that we've had are going to have for years to come due to this pandemic? And yeah, so that's more or less my behind, but I've watched so many people, friends and family, lose jobs because they're choosing their choice, which it isn't a choice. How is it a choice when it's saying, if you don't do what we say, then you don't get to work. You don't get to feed your family. That's not a choice. That's an ultimatum.
But Viva Frei went down to where the counter-protesters were. And I'm going to show you a couple conversations that Viva Frei had when he first got there. When he first got there, he actually managed to talk to a few people that were open to talk with him.
So, honk if you can't get it up. I don't know what that means.
It's a joke about erectile dysfunction, you know. That's fine.
But hold on, if they honk, which way is that joke going? Okay, so no joke. Jokes aside, this is part of the counter-protest. If you have a mic and you want to explain what the nature of the counter-protest is, do you want to do it?
I would just say that we're here for the 85% of people in this city who did their part to fight COVID. They did their part by social distancing, wearing masks, getting the vaccination. And when Ontario opens up, it's because of those people, not because of the people who stomped their feet.
When that needle goes in,
She instantly knows that she helped that person, and it was such a powerful thing. And if you stop and think about that, there are thousands of people across this province stepping up every single day to support you and instantly help you protect yourself. All we need you to do is sit in the chair and let them.
All we need you to do is sit in the chair and let them.
What do you have to say to or about the people who don't think that they should be compelled to get vaccinated?
They have a choice.
Well, what is
those truckers had a choice?
What is that choice?
They could get the vaccine.
Okay.
Or they could just do quarantine.
All we need you to do is sit in the chair and let them.
If your choice is get the vax or be detained for however many days it is because you didn't, is that a choice or is that coercion?
That's a big reason why. So here's my take. I agree with you. We live in society. It gives us nice things. It could be community, it could be culture, it could be economic opportunity. The price we pay is our cooperation. You know, like we have to stop at red lights. Are you infringing on the freedoms? No.
Well, I
part
think
of the rules.
I would agree that stopping at a red light infringes on your freedom. But is there a distinction? Is there a line at which crossing that line for your freedoms is not acceptable?
An eternity later.
Like, where is the line where you have crossed over infringing on someone's freedom? Red light, fine. Seatbelt, fine. Forcing someone to do
specific.
Okay. Who decides then in any given specific context?
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
And even a more scientific question is the quarantine period. What good if we now know that those who are vaccinated can and still do in fact carry the virus? What good does a quarantine on the unvaccinated do scientifically?
Eventually,
There's 19 unvaccinated people are 19 times more likely to end up in the hospital or ICU.
I won't agree with that, but even assuming I agree with that, that's on them, not on the vaccinated.
And we all pay for that critical infrastructure.
You're aware that the pharma companies have immunity for any negative consequences from the vaccine?
I have no knowledge of that.
So you do not know that as a condition for the pharma companies to provide this vaccine, they insisted on immunity from any negative consequences from it. Oh, well, it's true. Would that change your mind if you knew that? That they were immune from liability from any potential wrongdoing from the vaccine that they're putting into your body? Would that change your mind or cause you to think about something?
I am not a big fan of big pharma, but that doesn't mean that I would not use products that are life-saving.
Okay, well, we made some progress. I think if you recognize you are suspicious of big pharma, you should ask some questions as to what's going on now. But at the very least, I can understand the noise is annoying, and protests typically are.
It's not annoying. It is torture. The United Nations says that sleep deprivation is torture.
Yep.
The people who live on Metcalfe Street have not been able to sleep for 7 nights.
Okay, but I've heard diverging stories as to whether or not they're honking their horns between 8 and 8. But speaking of United Nations, you're familiar with the Nuremberg Code as well, if we're going to cite international law?
I know what Nuremberg is, but I don't know the code.
You might want to go look up the Nuremberg Code, but thank you very, very much.
So Viva then goes on to explain what mass, or he doesn't explain, he kind of exposes the mass formation psychosis happening. And then what happens is when he's kind of explaining the mass formation psychosis, because everyone there is kind of against him, and they're all repeating the exact same thing you hear on the news every single night. You could have almost predicted what the people he talked to were going to say, but they weren't expecting him to ask them questions, and when he asked them some tough questions, stumped, blank stares, shady, like the eyes weren't there. It's kind of funny. Funny but sad. Funny but sad.
Listen here, your tactics are bad and you should feel bad. You don't want to talk? Okay, fine. Okay, now I'm just going to ask you this other point this way. Did you guys support the BLM protests? So you supported the BLM protests at home by donating to the protest. Okay, now I'm going to ask you the question. It's for food for thought. Do you find anything mutually incompatible, intellectually contradictory to support that protest and not this one?
This group marching at the state fair.
Look at these kids playing with the square rails over here. Alright. Look, they got a bouncy castle over there. Support certain protests if it's lasted a certain period of time?
Yes. No, I support them if they're good, and I don't support them if they're bad.
I have attended protests and rallies in the past when I agreed with the goals, when I supported the people expressing their concerns and their issues. Black Lives Matter is an excellent example of that. But I have also chosen to not go anywhere near protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric.
This group marching at the state fair.
There we have the idea. That's the distinction.
And criminals. We don't support criminals.
Who are the criminals?
Well, people who are assaulting people.
Hold on. Who's assaulting people?
The crazy bunch of convoys.
So
they've been calling people, they've been harassing people, they've been pissing and shitting all over the...
So if I were to tell you, I spent 3 days looking for piss and shit and saw nothing, would you believe me?
I would probably believe it, but people would probably pick it up.
Okay.
Like neighbors and old people who don't want them to sit on their front steps for 3 days.
Okay, I'll invite you.
Well, who are you with then?
I'm with me.
With what?
I'm alone. I'm just coming up. I heard about the piss and shit, and I came and I looked for it, and I saw none of it. I went to the Terry Fox there. I want to see it. I saw none of it.
There have been so many reports of assaults as well as an ice cream shop up there. A couple of people attacked a staff member for wearing a mask and threw them to the ground. And there are numerous examples of that. Happy Goat Cafe, how are you? Rainbow Five. All of these things. You're talking about BLM. Since when has BLM ever paralyzed the city for 8 or 9 days? Driven people... 6 months? No, 6 months. No, you asked me. I'm going to tell you. Horns at 85 decibels inside the houses in some places. Since when did they ever do anything like that? Since when did they ever drive 18 years into a city and take it over?
Hey, how are you, brother? How you doing? See you, man. Speaking of which, dude, you got some courage. Oh, hey. We got flag in here, sir. Hey, this is a free country, and we'll keep it free. God bless.
And then after he started exposing all this stuff, well, he started getting the cold shoulder. The cold shoulder to the point where one of the woke majority peaceful protesters was very blunt and said, "Nobody wants to talk to you. Go to the other side." They're real tolerant.
Nobody wants to talk to you. Go to the other side. Nobody wants to talk to you. Go to the other side.
To anyone who joined the convoy but is rightly uncomfortable with the symbols of hatred and division on display, join with your fellow Canadians. Be courageous and speak out. Do not stand for or with intolerance and hate.
And while all this was going on, I think Viva must have missed it. But as I was watching what was unfolding when he was talking to the anti-convoy protesters, I noticed a pretty interesting sign being held up by these peaceful, the majority that Justin Trudeau does agree with.
Say that there's people desecrating the statues, this and that, and I can't unsee it.
We won't give in to those who fly racist flags. To anyone who joined the convoy but is rightly uncomfortable with the symbols of hatred and division on display,
desecrating the statues, this and that, and I can't unsee it.
Join with your fellow Canadians. Be courageous and speak out. Do not stand for or with intolerance and hate.
Desecrating the statues, this and that, and I can't unsee it.
Imagine for a moment if that was a white person standing back there saying, sterilize BLM protesters. Just imagine what would happen. I'm asking a hypothetical question. These are convoy haters. These are people that have been told by our prime minister, by premiers, by the media that everyone supporting the convoy are white supremacists. And now you have people counter-protesting, the peaceful protests that have no hate whatsoever, holding up signs calling for the sterilization of beings that there's 15% of Canadians that haven't gone, at least, that haven't gone to get their second dose. And then you count in the 20 to 25% that probably got all their jabs because they were coerced into doing it, like lose your job or else. So, I mean, you're talking millions and millions of Canadians that have been labeled white supremacists, and the peaceful protesters in Ottawa who say, whose city, my city, they want to sterilize us. And then what's interesting there is that I showed you footage yesterday of Polish women that came from Toronto bringing 1,550 sausages and buns and donuts, and the reason they were doing it is because they fled a communist country and they thought that Canada was worse than what they fled for at least 2 years. Well, Viva runs into another Polish man who's been here. Apparently he's been in Canada longer than he's been in Poland, but it was only January 31st that he felt really proud to be Canadian. Does anyone see a problem with that? I wonder, is it just because he's a fringe that listens to supremacists? I don't know. Judge for yourselves.
Say for yourself. What? What do you want? What are you out here for?
What I am fit for?
Yes.
For freedom. What do you mean for? What for?
I know what you're for.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
From Poland.
And how many years in Canada?
Oh, many years. Longer than in Poland. Yeah.
And why did you leave Poland?
Oh, because there was no freedom. And some Polish people went back to Poland because they know what's going on now. But they now they are jealous that I stay there because you know what? January 31st, that was the first day I was proud to be Canadian. First day, January 31st. Now I'm proud Canadian. For last week, this is the 1 week since I'm in Canada, I'm proud to be Canadian. Not because of those idiots. You see the sign, sterilized white supremacists? There's a sign? Yeah, you know why? Because they already sterilized. Those other people on the other side.
The sign of sterilization of people. Where is your law? Where is the law?
We just gotta show love. Calm down. We gotta show love.
Yeah.
It's all up here now.
Why don't you arrest this guy with the sign?
Viva runs into a man who says that he was confronted pretty violently by someone who ran out of her house, who's obviously anti-convoy.
Oh, yeah, sure. All right, so when we were coming into the city... Say it loud. Make sure Sorry, when we were coming into the city, we were driving in. Hi, guys. And we saw... we were stopped at a red light, and a woman came out of her building, and she was screaming at us. She was saying, get out of my city! Get out of my city! You've been honking in front of my building for 5 days. I can't sleep. And I felt really bad for her. I actually felt sorry for her. So I rolled down my window, and I said to her, listen, I'm really sorry about that. We feel that we need to protest as well and get our message across to the government. And she said, ah! She got angry. She pulled down her mask. She said, I have COVID. And she rubbed her nose, and then she put it inside of my car on my dashboard and ran off. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not going to use the big T word again, but in some states, ordinarily I'd be freaking out right now, sir, but I believe we had COVID recently enough that I believe I'm safe, even if it spreads through the mist of our mouth outdoors. There are, and I'll be forgiving on the individual. There are a lot of people who are going through mental issues right now, and it's displaced, and they're directing it towards the easy target, and that's the person in front of them. That's exactly it. So I felt sorry for her. I felt sorry for her. When I was at one of the protests over the summer around Olympic Stadium, and an old lady was on her front porch giving everyone the finger and saying, I hope you die. And I was like, I didn't take it personally because it was just clearly mental issues manifesting that were beyond the issues. But hey, 2 years of being abused and locked in your house. And she dropped her. And then I went to, just for kicks, I went to see what Ottawa Walks. Ottawa Walks is another person on YouTube that provides these 3 and 4 hour long live streams where you can literally follow him as though you're walking in the city. And he also went for a walk to the anti-convoy protesters who want to sterilize us, deplorables, the fringe minority that have views that our Prime Minister don't agree with. Well, Ottawa Walks went to
visit those people. Pay attention to all the flags, and pay attention to all the interesting conversations, and pay attention to all the smiles that you see, and pay attention to all the laughing children that you see, and pay attention to all the families that you see gathered, playing and singing and dancing, and pay attention to the loving signs, that say freedom and unity, and we don't see any color. And pay attention to the sweetgrass ceremonies that are going on there, and natives and white man exchanging cultural, historical traditions and customs. Check out these anti-convoy protesters. That's Canadiana, right? Like, we'd much prefer that than what Ottawa is going to encounter in just a few minutes. Ottawa was there, walked through, and he had some pretty interesting things to say as he was leaving.
All right, let's go to where the fun is being had. This place doesn't look too fun.
15 minutes later.
Finds himself amongst a group of Nova Scotians, Quebecers. There seems to be First Native flags represented in the bunch, New Brunswick flags represented in the bunch, Newfoundland flags represented in the bunch. I'm really having a hard time finding the swastikas and the rebel flags, though. I really am. And Ottawa walked into what looked like, what would have been a festival in Ottawa 4 or 5 years ago. But now it's like he just left one place, like the Twilight Zone, and entered, like, Fantasyland, or almost like heaven on earth in Canada for the first time in my existence.
Meanwhile,
say that there's people desecrating the statues, this and that, and I can't unsee it.
Another group that did a pretty good job with their coverage of what went on that day, they let a couple people speak that were there for legitimate reasons, was City TV. But the last guy that they interviewed trolled the government so well that I had to use City TV's pretty decent coverage, and at the end, give you guys a little treat, and I hope you enjoy it.
We're really disappointed in what our government has done with mandating stuff. We're not against the vaccine. We don't care about that, but what we do care about is the fact that we have to have the vaccine to go to restaurants and travel.
David Rempel came to Ottawa with his family to express their frustration with restrictions he says are continuing to adversely affect their lives. He's not alone. Kelly Hale from Kemptville lost his restaurant because he refused to enforce mask mandates or check for vaccine status.
In November 13th of 2021, my restaurant was taken from me by force. I was locked out. The locks were changed because I wasn't following the mandates. I said no to the vax passports. I said no to the masking. I have no right to ask people's personal medical information. I was not going to break those laws. I follow God's law, and I'm standing firm with that. So we've been fighting in the courts for the last few months trying to get my restaurant back.
Back in the lowland.
Ottawa's mayor has expressed a hope that the loss of GoFundMe cash could starve the convoy, but protesters have already pivoted to an alternative fundraising site.
This whole thing last night with the GoFundMe, that is going to backfire big time. Big time. Everybody's doubling down on their donations to Give, Send, Go instead. You'll be shocked. The 10 million, it will far surpass 10 million in the next few days.
Voy a la playa, había subido la marea. Había subido la marea y encontré una paella. We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've come too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to keep our composure. La encontré porque estaba la paellera agarrada metida entre las piedras de Chipiona del faro. Y cuando entro en el restaurante me ve el cocinero con una paellera y adentro la vende paellera.
I love you all, Canadians. I love you all, Americans. I love you all, patriots from all over the world that are supporting this. Most of all, I love you, truckers. I love you, everyone there supporting them. I love my country. I love Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. All glory to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. They don't like that. I wonder why. I'm done now. If you enjoyed this video, you may want to take a look at other videos you find on this page. Don't forget, if you like it, push the subscribe button under this video, and feel free to like and share with all your friends. Follow me on Twitter by following the link on this page. If you want to interact, feel free to post a comment, but please, no obscenities. Thanks for watching. Billy Joyce signing off and reminding you that I'm here to help you weather the storm.